morning and happy Martin Luther King Day. I'm listening to a song right now that's one of my favorites. It's called Lyrical Bass Drum. I think it's by Omega Force. And it's a really cool, I guess, drum and bass mix with some quotes from Martin Luther King, and it's pretty awesome. But there's a couple really interesting speeches I wanted to talk about that Martin Luther King made. Dr. Martin Luther King. He was a doctor. I don't know what kind of doctor, but he was a doctor. And I think there's some really, really important ideas to bring up. And of course, I want to talk about this documentary that was just released, I guess. I think it was called MLK FBI. So there's a lot going on here. First of all, I wanna reiterate this point that I don't like to worship people. I don't like this whole idea of hero worship, because everybody is flawed. Everybody's got some issue. I don't care if you're worshiping Ron Paul or Donald Trump or anybody else. Everybody's got their flaws. And that is why I always say it's more important to look up to their ideas rather than them as a person. Because ideas can be flawed, but then they can be modified or replaced with new ones. Whereas when you start worshiping a person and you realize that person is flawed, then either you tend to ignore the flaws or defend them, which is worse. Or you might throw the entire thing away, throw away the entire person, along with the ideas that they taught, which were good. So, plenty of reasons why we shouldn't do that. So, I have a dream. I want to talk about this because there is a huge race battle going on in the United States. And the claim is that it's for equality and justice, but in reality, it's not. And I know some people support it. And, or some people want that, right? Some people want true equality. Some people want to get rid of racism. Going back to this idea of following ideas, we also want to make sure we're following ideas and not anchors. Black Lives Matter, or BLM, is an anchor. As much as we can support the idea, yes, Black Lives Matter, absolutely, it is an anchor. If you show up to a protest organized by Black Lives Matter, if you don't know why you're there or what you're demanding, you might as well just be working for somebody else for free, completely blind of what you're doing. Because if the BLM organization is organized by self-proclaimed Marxists, and they just tell you, we're going to march on the Capitol, but they don't tell you why or what you're demanding. Or maybe they tell you why, but they just tell you a bunch of things that are really going to piss you off, and they don't tell you how marching on the Capitol is going to change that. Is there a law being proposed? I mean, when the police shoot and kill somebody dead, marching on the police station is a good idea. Those are the people responsible. Marching on Congress any random day, what's that really about? Now, they have this anchor, which is a great anchor, because Black lives do matter, and a lot of people will support that. But when you start buying their t-shirts, you're giving them money. When you show up at their events, you're giving them power. And if you don't know why you're there, if they say, now we're going to march into the Capitol, now we're going to burn down these buildings, whatever they tell you, if you're there in support, of that march, whatever that march is about, just because you support the anchor, you can be misled to do damage against the very thing that you believe you're fighting for. So, super important. So, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream, he said some pretty amazing things. He said that one day the children of slaves and children of slave owners will sit down and eat together and hold hands like brothers. That's not the direction a lot of things are heading right now. And I don't want to put blame on either side, because there's a war going on. You've got racists who want to keep the country racist. You've got people fighting against racism with violence, which is not going to help defeat racism. And you've got peaceful people who their voices just aren't being heard because both sides are fighting so loud. And this is one of the important parts, because if you want to get along with people, if you want to end the racism and you want to end the war and the fighting, how do you do that? Do you do that by reinforcing their stereotypes? I mean, I don't know too many white racist people who openly voice their ideas or opinions about black people. But from what I have heard, things like, oh, they like to use drugs, they're violent, those sorts of things. And when the media, when an organization like BLM gets people out there, and I don't want to say they're maybe directly responsible for the violence, but I think they kind of lead it in that direction. The media definitely leads it in that direction. The media is out there saying people should be taking to the streets. Where does it say protests need to be peaceful? You know, these sorts of things. They're inciting violence, and they're doing it in a very clever way where they're not saying go burn the building down, but they're kind of saying it. They're getting people pissed off, and they're getting people outside where they know it's going to happen. But when that happens, in support of something like Black Lives Matter, people will associate the violence with the black. And that is going to reinforce the stereotypes that the racists have against those people. That's, I think, extremely important. Think about it. Do you feel more, this is a question for black people, do you feel more compassionate towards white people, towards being in an equal society with them when they say something racist? Of course not. That would be idiotic. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be angry about things that they've done. And that doesn't mean there shouldn't be consequences for it. But it does mean those have to be extremely, extremely specific. And this is what I mean about that. Back to Martin Luther King. I have a dream that men will be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. Skin is just what you wear, kind of like a uniform. Right? So, is every white person racist? Must every white person be killed? No. But that's kind of the direction some of the extreme sides of this BLM movement are going. I saw this, there's this old man on the front of his porch with his Biden flag out, and protesters yelling at him and throwing shit at his house. And the guy's trying to say, I'm on your side, I voted for Biden. And yet they were there harassing him because of the color of his skin, or maybe because of the location of his house, or any of these number of things. He's on your side. Maybe not everything he did was perfect. Maybe he could help more than he did. But he's on your side. He wants to help you. And throwing shit at his house, you think that's going to make him come out in even stronger support? No, not at all. Doesn't work that way. So, back to Martin Luther King. April 3rd, I was just watching this video. So this is the speech that they put in that song, Lyrical Bass Drum. It's called The Mountaintop. And he gave this speech the day before he was assassinated. He knew it was coming. And apparently it's because the FBI had sent him, they had taken pictures of him with other women, cheating on his wife. Oh, he's a terrible person. Wait until the world sees this. That'll end this whole civil rights movement. Why did the FBI want to stop the civil rights movement? Think about that. The FBI was in on that. They're gonna send pictures of him with other women. I'm gonna have to quote Jay-Z here. He's from the hood, stupid. What type of facts are those? There's how many people this blows my mind. How many people we know cheat on their spouses, and that's somehow always used for blackmail. And that blackmail is what? It's going to destroy one person. It's going to destroy one relationship. I mean, imagine if they had released that. Martin Luther King wouldn't have been destroyed. He might have lost his wife, his marriage. But he could have kept the movement going. He could have helped so many people. And I think this is based on the societal stigma of we're supposed to be monogamous creatures. And some people try it. Some people are successful with it. But for a lot of people, it just doesn't make sense. And that's been turned into something that we make people ashamed of. Oh, the traditional life didn't work out for you. You better not let anybody know. Your life's going to be destroyed. That's something we need to get rid of. Sometimes shit just doesn't work out. Whether you're with the wrong person or you just haven't learned, because they don't teach you this shit in school, and not everybody's parents are good enough at it themselves to teach it to you. How to be a good husband or wife. How to make a relationship work. And if it doesn't, there's no shame in that. Why are they using this to blackmail people? Now, they sent this information to Martin Luther King with a letter telling him to go kill himself. So he knew. And so he started out his speech that he doesn't know how long he's going to be around. And he says all this really great stuff about he's seen the mountaintop, he's been to the mountaintop, and he's seen the promised land. And that's that vision, that dream that he keeps talking about. And I think this is really important too, because a lot of people don't know how to dream. And in fact, the public school system beats that out of you. What does it mean to dream? Let me tell you something that every rich person I might be exaggerating, but only just a little bit. Every rich person that I've ever talked to knows about this thing called The Secret. And there was this video documentary that was made about The Secret, called The Secret. You can go check it out, but it's based on a book that was written about 100 years ago, called Think and Grow Rich, by a guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he was close with some very wealthy people. And The Secret is really nothing more than visualization. That's, if you had to distill it down into one word, visualization or manifestation. Thinking, imagining, picturing your success in your mind and figuring out how do you get there. Like when you get in your car, you don't just get in your car, turn it on, and start driving. You have in your head a picture of where you're going. I'm going to work. I'm going to the mall. I'm going to the movies. I'm going to a friend's house. You have that picture in your head, and you don't know exactly what path you're going to take. There might be a closed road. There might be an accident. There might be traffic. You might take a different way, a different day. But you're able to still get where you're going because you keep in mind that image of where you're going. And this is, I think, what Martin Luther King was doing when he said he has seen the promised land. He has been to the mountaintop. He has envisioned it. He has created that vision in his own mind, and that's what he's been working for. And one last thing I want to say, and this goes all the way back to the beginning, talking about hero worship versus ideas. He said, I may not get there with you, because he knew he was probably about to get killed. I may not get there with you, but you will get there. You can do this. And I think that right there is maybe one of the most important points, because remember, we should be following ideas, not people, because people can be manipulated. People like him, he was manipulated. He was shown pictures of something that he did wrong. He didn't even kill anybody. He didn't steal anything. He didn't do anything that wrong. For his relationship, it was pretty wrong. It could have been a disaster. But his ideas were right. And when he died, it didn't take long for people to forget those ideas. And so now we're following people. We're following anchors. A lot of people have been replaced by these anchors that we're following now, because they know they can control anchors. You can't kill an anchor, right? So if you're following BLM and the leaders of BLM are assassinated and somebody else takes over BLM, as long as people are... I don't know if I missed that. As long as you're following the anchor can be changed. BLM, the meaning of BLM can be changed, even if its leaders are assassinated. So you have to follow the ideas, not the people. And when Martin Luther King was assassinated, if everyone had been following the ideas instead of the person, we might still have those ideas in effect today. And this goes for everything. I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian. If you get into a conversation with somebody, and I see this all the time, and you have to mention a person. Oh, well, this is what my favorite philosopher said. Why do you have to even mention your favorite philosopher? As if it gives it some sort of credibility. That's just a person. We should be more fascinated with the idea, not the person. When you tell the idea to somebody, they shouldn't believe the idea just because of who said it, because the person who said it doesn't make it right. Martin Luther King could have been right about everything that he said, but if he said 2 + 2 is 5, that's wrong. And if you were to say 2 + 2 is 5, and somebody said, no, it's not, and you said, yes, it is, Martin Luther King said so, is that a good reason for somebody to change their mind and say, oh, well, I guess I should believe something that I didn't believe before? No, absolutely not. So stop using people's names. Use ideas in your conversations. And if somebody doesn't believe you, if you can't just say taxation is theft and everybody believes you, find out why. Find out how you can explain it to people so that it makes sense, so that they can understand the idea, so they can be convinced without having to say, oh, but Ron Paul said it. Who cares? Anybody who doesn't know taxation is theft doesn't know who Ron Paul is. So what good is that going to do? If you tell them, oh, Dan Berman says so, what do they care? They don't know who I am. Super, super important. Follow the ideas. And I think we have to get back to the ideas that Martin Luther King was talking about. Because they were really great ideas. And they extend outside of racism. Judging people by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin, or the color of their political party, or the color of their clothes, or the color of the county on the map that they live in. I see this all the time. All cops are bad. Same thing. We have to stop judging people by groups and labels and by what they're actually doing. Because you can say all cops are bad, and in most cases I'll agree with you. That's maybe one of my flaws. But let's say I have a cop right here. Should we execute him? Has he actually done anything? I mean, maybe he's given out some speeding tickets, which I don't approve of. Does the punishment fit the crime? I mean, that's something we're always saying. Yeah, he stole a candy bar, but you didn't have to shoot him in the back. So yeah, he committed a crime, but you didn't have to kill him, right? So shouldn't we use that same methodology on all criminals, on all groups? Shouldn't we use that in the same way? And what if this person is brand new to the force and hasn't done anything yet? What if he hasn't done anything against any peaceful American yet? Does he deserve to be executed? No. So when I talked earlier about being very specific about the consequences for their actions, don't judge somebody because they're wearing the police uniform. Judge them because they've arrested somebody for cannabis. Or judge them because they give out traffic tickets like they're going out of style. Or judge them because they killed somebody. And demand an appropriate consequence to that. If they killed somebody, they go to prison. If they stole from some people, they go to prison. We have to examine every single case, every single person individually, not based on what they're wearing. Not based on, oh, you're a Democrat? Oh, you supported this? Oh, well, I guess we're going to kill you because you supported a war which killed hundreds of millions of people. Even though that person might not have known that they even supported a war. Because a lot of people don't even know there's a war going on right now. A lot of people don't know we're still in Afghanistan, we're still in Iraq, we're still in Libya, we're still all over the world. And people don't know it. So just because somebody contributed to somebody's political campaign doesn't mean throw them in prison. Anyway, guys, I think that's all I have to say about this. But hopefully you got some good ideas out of this. Share it if you did. Like and subscribe. Do all that kind of stuff. We've got a couple really awesome interviews coming up this week on the Taxation is Theft show, so be sure to tune in and check those out. YouTube.com/Taxation is Theft. And check out this song, Lyrical Bass Drum by Omega Force. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's a really awesome song. I love listening to it. Back in the days of CDs, I had it on one of my favorite CDs that I would keep in my car. So it's a really good motivational song to listen to also. Alright guys, I'll catch you next time. Taxation is Theft. Happy Martin Luther King Day. I'll see you later.